All right, this is jpeg2RAW, show number 107, recorded on March 4th with Jodie. And Jodie, I always mess up last names, and yours looks so simple, but I know I'm going to mess it up. So how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Otte.
Otte. See, I'd messed it up. Jodie Otte. So now I got it. So thank you for not letting me have to mess that up. If Jodie is coming here on show number 107. Jodie is a member of our Facebook group, and I forgot to mention the pre-show as we're talking, and speaking of pre-show, I need to get that off the screen, about our Facebook group, and I'm going to go over all that stuff on the end, so I don't want to go over that in the front end, but I have some stuff I need to go over at the end, Jodie, and we'll just cover that back then. So Jodie, I've been reading a lot of your posts, I've been reading about your stuff in Facebook and all that stuff. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who Jodie is first? How did you get in photography? Is this something you've always done? You go to school for it, or self-trained, or what got you into photography?
Well, first of all, I'm almost 100% self-taught. I was, from high school on, I used to paint portraits by hand on canvas and with oils, chalks, things like that. And it was kind of a natural progression that I'm doing portraits, and then all of a sudden, I started picking up a camera, playing around with it for years, and then I happened to get with another photographer. She was a master photographer locally who used to paint, using oils on top of her images that she would have placed on canvas. And she had me do a little bit of work for her. It was interesting. She made tons of money. But at the time, I was pregnant with my first child and got really, really sick, and I quit working with her, only to pick it up again later on. After both my kids were in school full-time, I decided to open a full-time studio, and just kind of progressed from there. And that was 11 years ago, I think.
11 years ago. So now, when you say open a studio, are you using a section of your house, or a real? You have a separate? No, I shouldn't say real, because you can have a real studio in your house.
Yeah.
But have you? Do you have like a place you're renting, or is this you converted in a section of your house?
I did. I started off. I did part of my house. It was the whole bottom level, and then I had a couple, kind of higher profile clients, and I thought, I can't keep having them drive, to the cornfields in the middle of nowhere, where they all were going, what is this? Is this part of Maryland? Yes, it is. And I decided to get a studio outside of my house. I had an old historic building. It was a beautiful 100-year-old historic building. And then I stayed there, I think, 3 years. And then I moved to another historic building that was 2 years there. No, I'm sorry, 1 year there. It was a beautiful building, but there was no insulation with the cold winters. It was just to heat it was $1,500 a month.
Wow.
That's not including, rent, anything. So I quickly realized I can't do that, and moved on to another space. And I was at the last space for 2 years. I just closed it up in August and reopened up a shooting room in my own house. I don't really use the one in my house so much. I'm mostly on location, but I'm having fun back on location again. I closed it up because, like you were saying, you start looking at your numbers and you go, I'm on location so much. Why am I still paying this rent?
Yeah.
So I got rid of the rent and saved quite a bit of money, and now I'm all on location. And I am taking less clients now. It seems like it's kind of falling off a little bit, and the clients I do have are still spending well, but I'm definitely not booking what I used to. So on location is great. It's been working. If I start getting too busy again, I have no problem getting back in a studio.
Now, do you think the slowing down is due to the economy, or we can talk about national economy, but a lot of things for us is more local economy. Is it due to economy, due to increased people getting into the field?
Just from my local area, I know everybody is different. Every area is different. So I can't speak for all the other areas, but I'm close enough to Baltimore where I advertise to Baltimore, DC, Northern Virginia. Those are very, very, the areas are busy. There's a lot of people coming for work there. There's plenty of work. There's, high-priced houses that people are still buying up. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely money still there. But I do believe it's the oversaturation has really, really caused a problem.
Yeah. We were talking. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, locally, one of the photographers did a poll on one of the Maryland local boards, and as last year's poll showed that our local area, most of the photographers are making less than $10,000 a year full time.
Wow.
When I read that, I thought, yeah, it's time for a backup plan, just in case. I want to do this forever, but just in case.
And we're not going to go into that too much. We talked about it. You know, one of your
Yeah.
plans is accounting, and I think you went to school for accounting. And
I'm going to school for it now.
Okay, and as an accountant, you know, I may be a little biased. That is a very stable and good career.
Yeah.
But you know that making $10,000, that we've often talked on the show about what is a professional photographer, and that's a hard thing, and everybody may have some subjective. I think if you look at the two ends, you look at somebody who's they're doing it full time, living off the money they're making and supporting themselves or their family or both. And then you got the person like me, who's the hobbyist, who may every now and then make some money off of photography. You know, you can say I'm not professional; these guys are, and then I think you got a wide gray area in the middle of what where people interpret that differently. You know, one person may say yes, so somebody else may say no. What do you think? What would you call a professional photographer? And obviously, if you're making $10,000 a year, you can't survive off of that. That is
right.
Yeah.
Right. That's ridiculous. You need at least 10 times that to live in the Baltimore area.
Wow.
So I don't know. I have no idea what how they're. I have no idea. It's crazy. But as a professional, I mean, I speak up a lot about the industry, but when it really comes down to it, I feel a professional is someone who is, operating legally. They're paying their taxes, and they're making an effort to have a profit. Not just doing it for, I've noticed we call it client hoarding. Mm-hmm. It's where some people just really, really like to do this so much that they're taking on clients regardless if they're not making a dime. They're just bringing on clients and bringing on clients. And I have a hard time calling that professional if you're not really, turning out profit. You need to live off of something.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier 1,500. Was that for the rent or for the utilities?
That was just the propane to heat the place.
So
that wasn't the electric. That wasn't the rent.
Well, let's assume in this dream world that was the total cost of that place, mm-hmm. which we know it wasn't. So it was more than that, and that was your average monthly. I imagine during the winter it's more, and during the summer it's less for the gas. Okay. But some of the other things go up. That alone, that cost there by itself is almost $20,000.
Right.
Yeah, so if you made $10,000 and you had $20,000 in expenses, you lost money.
Yes.
Yeah, which after a few years, the IRS would consider it a hobby.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. All right, so I shot for a while with a soccer league, and I did that on the side. I was making money. I did it on the weekends. I had a full-time job and all that kind of stuff. I never considered myself professional, but what I did notice is that it was tougher and tougher for the people who were hiring me to make money at that job, because the parents all had access to the same field I had access to. The parents were getting more every year. I saw more and more, and almost every weekend, I saw more and more DSLRs out there. And while they may not have had the 70-200 or 300-2.8 or something like that, the lenses were, the kit lenses, and maybe a 400 millimeter, and they were able to even zoom in closer than I was. And as long as it was good enough, they were good to go. So, right. The competition is just getting tougher and tougher at the low end like that.
I have to say still, though, if you start photographing high school football, you need the good equipment.
You do. There's sports like football, because especially if it's nighttime football, and some of the other sports that are nighttime, the good equipment makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah, definitely. We used to have a friend of mine, and I would photograph the football team because our sons were on it, and we did it as a fundraiser, kind of a give back to the team. And we had teams from all over. The different moms from other teams come to us and ask us how we could get those pictures. And we finally looked at them and we said, you kind of need about $10,000 worth of equipment. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get it off the kit lens. So.
Yeah, and I totally agree that it's something. Some people, not everybody starts off as a pro. Some people start off and they become better and they really get good. But I think a lot of people have trouble reviewing their work and seeing the quality of it, and maybe progressing past that, and that's a struggle for a lot of people. And that leads me into another question. You had wrote something. You had wrote an article, and this is a topic that we wanted to cover later on down the road. We're trying to work out a date with Corey, but you wrote a great article on photo stealing, people stealing photos, and had an example of one of your photos that somebody had stolen.
Sure.
You want to? I don't know how good of a transition that was into that subject that I just did, but
Yeah,
you,
that's fine.
would you like to talk about that some? And I got your page
Oh,
pulled up
it's
here where you did the
yeah, it's
article.
that's that picture. My poor daughter. That's her and one of our horses that we had, and it has been everywhere. I mean, constantly people stealing that image. I don't know if it's because, it's a horse. It's kind of different. But that image has been stolen so much and used even by big companies. State Line Tack used it one time, and I had to keep going after them, and it's really tough because when you want to actually, I don't know, eventually I sit there and I think, well, I would like to get my daughter some college money from this image that keeps getting stolen. She's embarrassed by it, so why not get a little bit of compensation for it? And it's tough. I talked to someone who recently has been going after a newspaper, and I think she's in it about $15,000 so far in legal fees.
Wow.
So it makes it really tough for us. I mean, I still plan to go after a couple of these places, but it's a little bit lower down the priority list right now because I have a lot of other things going on.
Yeah, I don't.
It's tough.
I don't understand the thought behind some of these things, because sometimes if you look at, I don't want to focus too much on Corey's site, photo stealers, because we're hoping when they have her on later on. But sometimes they go to, let's say they go to your page, Jody, and they go, look at all this great work. That's the type of photos I want to take. That's what's in my head. I'll just copy hers until I get there.
Right.
And then they sometimes they make their large portion of their website your photos.
Yeah.
And when you have confronted people, what has been the the reaction?
Oh, it's awful. It's usually the web person did it. Most recently, I had someone in Ireland who took an image of mine. It was one of my older images. Wasn't a great image at all, but it was one of my older images. It was of a set of twins, and she used it to promote her, I don't know, mini sessions or something. And I confronted her about it, and she was, she apologized, but she said I was not doing anything wrong. I just used it because it was there, and I just wanted to show my clients what I could do. They don't understand that it's wrong. It's wrong. They're profiting on it.
Yeah, okay. Well, we don't have to dwell on that too much, but it's sad that the looking at your work. You didn't just pick up a camera yesterday and start snapping away. I mean, I can pull up your page here. Your page is beautiful, and the images are beautiful. And you sent me some. We'll look at them a little bit later. I mean, that work took time took gear, one, or maybe that's not one, but one of the things, took the gear and took the know-how. And the know-how is something that I imagine took you a while to get to that level of quality.
Right, definitely.
And that's part of the reason why you charge what you would charge, is because the gear, you're running a real business, and you're buying or renting Jody, your Jody's expertise.
Sure.
Yeah. So when someone copies that, they can copy the image that you took, but can't copy Jody and what she has done to get there.
Well, the tough part is some of the images that I've done have been blatantly copied by, occasionally a local photographer, because, one of their clients said, oh, I want this image. And it's tough there too, because the client wants it, the photographer does it, it might not be the same quality, or it might. I mean, recently one of my friends did one because it was of the saddle shot, and she was so sweet, she actually gave me credit. But her client came in and said, I want this image, and she picked it up off of Pinterest. I mean, what is she supposed to do? Say no? I'm not going to make this beautiful image, even though I know I can. So there's so much going on there that, even our clients kind of sometimes force us into copying something.
Well, I think when you say copying, it is, I'm going to try and recreate the shot myself.
Right. Right.
That's one level. The level of I'm just going to take your image and stick it on my webpage
Yeah.
is a whole different
And
thing.
that is a completely different area.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is really just there's no gray areas. That's just wrong.
yeah. I mean, if you went out and you know the photo we got up here of the two babies, and you said, "All right, I'm going to try and recreate the scene as much as I can and take this same exact shot." Well, you know, that's one level. But if I just took this shot and stuck it on my page,
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
way you can justify that.
Right.
Okay. Whatever that. And these
And
are
that's pretty generic. That image is pretty generic. You know, anybody can,
sure.
you know, put babies in boxes and stuff. So.
Well, you know, I imagine a lot of us get ideas as we look through, you know, as we look through the images and go, "Oh, that's a great idea. I need to do something like that."
Right.
So a lot of us get ideas from other things we see on the web. And by the way, these are gorgeous pictures. I'm on
Oh,
Jodie's
thank you.
website right now and flicking through the newborn section as we look through this. And remember, if you're watching this, either even recorded, if you're watching this, the quality I'm showing of Jodie's work is not going to be as good as if you went to her webpage all by itself. You know, we're having to reduce the quality a little bit because of the streaming. So make sure you go to her webpage, and we'll have all the links in the show notes. But these are absolutely gorgeous pictures. And while we're talking about newborns, another article you wrote a while back, and what we were originally a while back were wanting to have you come on the show because I think it was, I don't know if it was, I just learned about it, that you were the champion of this, or it was a new article back then, was newborn safety. Because I have an article that you wrote here about newborn safety. And if you look at some of these pictures, let's look at the final picture of the baby on the guitar.
Yeah.
You know, I think, you know, a lot of us know now that you didn't just stick a baby on there, run away and take the shot. You know, and hope that everybody hold still and hope that the baby didn't fall off.
I've seen photographers do that though.
I know that's the problem is while more and more are getting educated, that's not what you did. There's still a bunch out there that think you did, and the fact is you just got to hurry before the baby falls off.
Right. It's a little scary.
Do you mind sharing with us, you know, your thoughts on that? And you can go and read the article. I can put the article in the show notes, but maybe giving us a little information on what you were saying in the article.
I was just trying to make it known to mostly clients first and foremost, because a lot of times clients don't realize that they could have a photographer that's not really being safe. They go to you as a photographer. They think you're the professional. A lot of them are first-time moms, first-time dads. They don't know that you might be doing something that's not really safe with the baby. So my biggest goal was to get it out to clients that, or potential clients, or even clients that didn't choose me as their photographer, just to make sure whoever they go to is following safety, because that's it gets scary. I've seen some really, really scary scenarios. I don't even know what to say. I mean, I've seen babies shoved in glass jars, and I'm talking about the glass jars you get from the craft store, not you know, I wouldn't put them in glass anyway, but yeah. And you know, some people will do that shot and they'll Photoshop it, but others don't, and they admit to it. And yeah, it's scary. I mean, it could be a life or death thing. I know that it's just a matter of time before something hits the news, some sort of, and I don't, you know, you don't wish it on anybody, but something's going to happen one day and it's going to hit the news. And that is probably when newborn photography will change, because people will start becoming very aware of the safety issues. But yeah, the guitar, as long as hands are there, if you notice most of my shots where the baby is in kind of a precarious position, I use a black background because it's just easy. It's easy to Photoshop somebody's hand out of the black background. It's easy to make any little seams go right into the shadows. Like I think even that shot, I probably had maybe a little tiny bit of material under the baby, and I just made it disappear into the shadow. So yeah, it's just one of those things that people need to know that goes on, that babies have to be, you know, their safety is just the most important.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we haven't seen something on the news already with as many newborn photographers out there. And I'd hope that a lot of them do what you do, or then come to your page and say, how do I do this right, before they do something like that. And I would, you talked about insurance earlier on as part of the things that make you a professional photographer. Dealing with kids, especially newborns, I would make sure I got loaded up on liability insurance.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you never know. I mean, I had somebody one of my clients came to me and said that her past photographer had left her toddler alone on a stool with no back, and she fell and broke her arm.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I don't know if it appeared that there was going to be a lawsuit. Let's just put it that way. And it kind of scared me. I was extra cautious, but it's true. I mean, insurance is important, and just overall safety. There's things that you're going to miss. I had a baby one time in a little tiny bowl, and she hopped. She did a little hop, and Dad put his hand right under. Now, I did put the dad right there. He was right, like, within 3 inches from the baby. And I said, make sure, if she moves, you're right there. Don't worry about the shot. Just put your hands right in the picture. Well, she was probably maybe 4 inches off the floor because the bowl was like 4 inches high. And she did a little hop, and he luckily threw his hand right out, under her head. Would she have gotten hurt? She probably would have cried. No real damage, but you don't even want that. You don't even want your client to see the baby cry and go, oh my gosh, and Dad was there, everything was okay, but still, it gets scary.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because the parents are not going to be too forgiving, and I wonder how many parents, when they look at that image of the guitar, think there's no way I'm putting my child in that position. They're
Most
not.
of them don't.
Some of them may think that they may not, as a parent especially, realize all the stuff you did to that image. You just sit and place the baby there, and they go, that lady's crazy. I'm never put my baby like that. So doing an article like this is good, both for photographers and for potential clients too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I know my wife would have never let us put the baby like that. Being a dude, I would probably just put a little few bean bags around the baby and said, hey, let's just go fast.
Yeah.
He'll be
Yeah.
okay. They're pretty pliable at that age.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't do a whole lot of those type of shots anymore, only by request. I'm just really about keeping the baby in most comfortable positions and just getting beautiful, simple shots, and not go through all the contorting too much and dangerous situations.
And I should have asked this earlier on because I just jumped right to the newborns. But what would you say? What do you like? What photography style do you like the most? And I say style is not good, but topic. I mean, I see football players behind you. I've seen that somewhere else where you're shooting football.
Oh yeah.
I think your daughter's into horseback riding and events, and of course the newborns. What would you say is your favorite area?
To be honest with you, it might surprise you, might not. I'm actually very introverted, so I prefer to be around animals. If I could be doing nothing but photographing nature, just being out there, animals, hiking around, looking for beautiful things to photograph, if I could make a living off of that, I would do that. But because I can't make a living off of it, I enjoy most newborns and high school seniors.
Okay.
And equine, of course, but yeah.
Well, I'm going to pull up some of your pet stuff now, which is gorgeous too. Your website does a great job of pulling up too. I love your website, and I know you.
I'm glad it's working because it wasn't working really well 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I read that about you had some issues with the website, and you've moved from one server to the other and had some issues there too. But part of being a professional photographer and having a portfolio where people can come and watch is that website side of it. There's a lot to it, and we've talked some in the pre-show about. You're a business owner. You got to do the accounting. You got to do. You're a bookkeeper. You're a CEO. You're a, whatever else, and you're the web host person. Unless you can outsource all that, and that means extra money. But so you have to worry about all that kind of stuff. So I'm glad it's working too, and it looks great.
Thanks.
And another article you had written recently, or something you had offered, and I'm probably not going to pull it up here on the fly as I pull through some of the images. We keep talking. Is you had done a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
And tell me a little bit about the spreadsheet.
Okay, so from the time I was first in business 17 years ago with another business that I had, I always use spreadsheets, keep track of my taxes and keep track of quite a bit of different things. Well, I decided recently that, the industry really needs help from the ground up. We have, like I said, that poll, it had $10,000 really? People are paying themselves in the Baltimore area $10,000 as a salary full time. Full time. That comes out to like $4.80 an hour. We can't even hire workers for that. It's illegal to hire workers for that. So, looking at that, it really hit home to me, and I thought, well, does everybody realize what they're really making? What's their bottom line? What are they making per hour? Do they want to make more per hour? These spreadsheets really, really help to do that. So I, cleaned up one of my spreadsheets and I offered it for really cheap online. And the reason I did it, it's like $12.99. The reason I did it is kind of a give back. I just wanted to say, can we help the very bottom, the newbies, the ones that are going to be the future of photography? Can we help them possibly see that maybe they should, change their structure, raise their prices, do something different to make sure that they're being paid appropriately? So if we start from the bottom up and educate them that way, maybe there'll be a future for photography. Okay. Unfortunately, people got mad at me for for selling that so cheap, but that was my whole goal. I just wanted people to understand their business a little better.
I don't know how much you want to dig into this, and we're not going to ask you who, but I don't understand why somebody would be upset that you're offering. It sounds to me, maybe you can correct me here if I'm wrong, that you're offering at a reasonable price a spreadsheet to help early photographers price their work better.
Right.
I don't know. I'm trying to think through in my head who would be mad at you for doing that. I guess the only people that I would think that would be mad is somebody who's offering some kind of workshop to help you price your work, and you just made a spreadsheet that solves all those problems, and instead of charging a large price, you charge a small price. Because if I'm a professional photographer and you're trying to get people to use your spreadsheet to raise their price, I love that. That's great. Right. So can you help me understand why somebody would not like that?
Well, it seems, now I'm just saying this is the trend. I'm not saying that this is the same for everybody, but it seems like a lot of us got into business years ago. And over the years, like I said, clients are dropping off. Well, we still get some good sales. That's not a problem. We're just not getting, let's say, 10 clients a week like it was possible at one point. So a lot of photographers are starting to sell to new photographers, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I sell things to photographers. That's fine. The problem is it seems like there's it's some kind of strange undercurrent going on to where there's major affiliate programs. So, okay, so if I get together, let's say I get together with a bunch of other photographers who are selling to new photographers, and we all kind of promote each other and we all give each other major kickbacks. If you sell my workshop, I'll give you $150 for each workshop that you sell. So that person is making money, I'm making money, and whoever else I can give, get on my affiliate program makes money. Having those affiliate programs, you have to price your products high. So now I don't know if anybody sells exactly that that Excel spreadsheet that I do, but if they do, they're going to have to price it higher if they're involved in these affiliate programs so that they can pay their affiliates. Now, there's nothing wrong with the affiliate programs, but my only issue with them is I hope that everybody who's pushing certain products and certain workshops actually believe in those products and those workshops. Because I would hate to think that anybody is promoting just for the money. So, that's where my ethics I have all ethical issues that maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'd be making a lot more money today if I didn't have the ethical issues that I have. But, it's just strange. I didn't even know all these affiliate programs existed. I had no idea. I kind of fell into it, and I'm looking around going, wow, this is real? This is really going on? So I'm assuming that, actually I heard that a couple people were very angry at me for pricing my spreadsheet really low, and that's why I got kicked off of, a forum or two that had a lot of those open affiliate programs that I guess I was told I couldn't be trusted, and I'm thinking, why? I didn't do anything. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
telling anybody secrets. It was just weird. It was weird. I actually lost an online interview
Hmm.
due to that, and I'm a little bit disappointed in the way that happened, because it was kind of like, okay, well, now this person can't associate with me because they're in the affiliate programs with other people. It's so strange. It doesn't feel like the photography industry to me. It feels like there's something else going on. This should be a movie.
Well, I think you hit on it with it's getting tougher and tougher to make money actually shooting.
Right.
There's getting more and more people. And so right now, at least, there's another way to make money, a way to either supplement or focus primarily on that is by selling things to photographers. And that's a legitimate business too. But like any business, there's competition, and all you're offering is a spreadsheet. It's not like you have taken somebody's entire workshop, recreated it with a slight twist, and instead of charging whatever they're charging, you're selling it for $12.99. It's a spreadsheet.
Right.
I do spreadsheets all day long,
Exactly.
and whatever else. And you could have charged zero, you could have charged $100, whatever, and you chose $12.99. I can't think of what would be the magic. There is no correct price.
Right.
The price is whatever you wanted to sell it for. You could have just gave it away.
Yeah, and I was going to, until my husband said, "You know what? It's slow time, and we have a mortgage due." And I said,
Exactly.
okay, well, yeah, I get your point. Maybe I should have some sort of value on it. It also would pay for my time when I have to, follow up if somebody didn't get the download link, things like that. Okay, I get it. Yeah, I should charge something, but
Although chat room just said I'm going to paraphrase. It's Oprah time. Free spreadsheets for everybody in the chat room.
right.
So I'm not gonna make you answer that. Well, one of the things, as I was doing some research on you and reading some of this stuff, you know, I the fiery side of you, I really like. I like how you were giving it back to them and saying, and what you were writing about that. That's awesome. You don't let somebody else tell you that you have to do something a certain way.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I get myself in so much trouble sometimes when I open my mouth. I try not to, but sometimes my fingers just need to type.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And hey, everybody who's listening to this later, go and check out our spreadsheet. 12.99, is that the right price?
Yes.
Okay, is a great price for something like that. And who knows, Jody may take it down or change the price or whatever. Who knows? Go out there and look at it, and download it or buy it or whatever for that price. Great price. And if you're looking for how to price your work, this would help them, right?
Right. It absolutely doesn't tell them they need to raise their prices or anything like that. I know a lot of people say, well, I like where my prices are. Don't tell me to raise them. It's not to tell you to raise them. All it does is it helps you to look at the structure of your business, find out if the structure is working with your pricing. And if it doesn't, you can make some changes. If it does, great. It basically just brings it down to bottom line, what you're making per hour. Or you can look at what do I want to make per hour. You put your little salary in that you want to make, and it'll automatically calculate how many clients you need per week and what your sales have to be to make that. It also has another, like a little bonus section that allows you to make packages. And it'll calculate, if you want to make packages or collections, as we like to call them. It just helps. It's a great worksheet. I mean, honestly, I know people have told me, you should price it above $100. Well, yeah, I guess it is the value of it. Sure. It's all there. It's
Hmm.
great. But the thing is, I just want it in the hands of everybody so they can just see their bottom line. So it can help everybody. It can help, the new people learn that, what their pricing should be, or if they should change their structure. And hopefully it'll just build from bottom up. That's what I'd love to see happen.
Yeah, and as we get along in time on the show tonight, if you guys out in chat have any questions for Jody, put it in chat and I'll ask them to her. They're about 35 seconds behind us, so it may take a little while. But Jody, pricing is something that we hear from a lot of people in the chat room over time when we have guests on, is they're looking for help on pricing, because I think it's it's somebody who's new, and maybe Scott Green's not out there tonight or out there right now, and he shoots, I think it's 20 or 30 weddings a year. He also has a full-time job outside of photography.
Wow.
Yeah, so he shoots a lot of weddings and he does a lot of seniors. He actually did my son senior shots. My son is a senior this year, my oldest, not the one you see behind me.
Right.
And he did him, and he charges what I thought was a very reasonable rate. So I think even he struggles with where he should be, when he should raise his prices. So what advice would you give somebody who's maybe just getting into it, and how they should price themselves? Because there's also, and let me lead you with a little bit more, there's also something else that's been happening, is you have a number of photographers who are getting into the photography industry, charging money, but they don't have to make a living at it. Maybe they have a spouse. It could be a female or a male, who maybe your spouse, whatever that sex that is, male or female, makes the living for the family. And as long as you cover the cost of your equipment and maybe a little bit more to maybe have some vacation money, or maybe even less than that, a weekend trip, whatever, that's fine with you. You don't have to make a profit. But what would you tell somebody who is wanting to get into photography and make it more than just a hobby?
First of all, value their time. That's the biggest thing. I kind of thought about this recently. We've had some health issues in my family. You don't realize how valuable your time is until you don't have any left. So that's kind of something that's been leading me lately myself to go, okay, I should be valuing my time. I know I should, and what's it valued at? Okay, so somebody new who's pricing, first of all, have to, just like that spreadsheet shows, you have to find out your expenses, make sure they're covered, make sure that you're paying yourself something that's worthy of your time, preferably more than minimum wage. You're a business owner, you have a lot of responsibilities. A lot of people, they're worried about how many clients they get. Well, if you don't need the money because you have a spouse that's paying, all your bills, and you have the fun money, well, why not make that fun money and that time making that fun money worth it? So what do you have to lose? Price it up higher, have fun with it. Maybe you only have 2 clients per month, but will be very much worth it.
That is an excellent point, and something that Kathleen, who has been on our show as a co-host for a while, has struggled with for a while. But she made the conscious decision that she was going to charge what she thought was the right amount, and she was going to lose people because they weren't going to be willing to pay that. But when she went on a photo shoot, that was time away from her children. And
Right.
while her husband was the main breadwinner, time away from her children, she needs to be compensated for that. She could probably, if she lowered her prices way low, have clients out the yin yang and be shooting all the time, and that would be all this time away from her family. The clients would be getting this great work, and she's working herself to death and hardly making any money because of the price.
Right.
But
Well,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, think about the fact that you have a son graduating from high school this year. I have a son graduating from high school this year. I just turned around. He was 2. He was pulling on my leg going, "Mommy, play with me," while I used to type medical records for a living at home. And he'd say, "Mommy, play with me." Now he's turning 18, and where did that time go? And you just don't realize how fast it goes. So yeah, that time away from your kids, away from your family, oh, that has to be worth it.
Exactly. Now, the kid behind me, wherever I can do it right there, he's no longer that size. So, back then that little guy would give me a hug and wanted me to put him to bed at night. There's no more of that. He's a freshman in high school. So you're right. That
Right.
time will fly by. And if you were making 480 or whatever that number was you threw out a while back, an hour, was your time worth let's round it up to $5. Was your time worth $5 an hour to be away from your children, or away from whatever else? If you don't have children, away from whatever else you want to do, Yeah, it's a real challenge. Now, some people may say that, well, Jody, I'm not doing the kind of work I'm not doing the quality of work you're doing yet. My quality of work is not nowhere near what you are. So I should be charging less than what Jody's charging.
I never knew how to answer that, because there's so many talented, super talented people that feel that way, that they don't feel that their work is good enough. And honestly, I look at some work and I'm just amazed that they don't realize how great they are. And they're worth it. They're worth definitely more than $5 an hour. If they think about the fact that people used to pay, up to $500 for Sears pictures, for that little 15-minute section of time they got in Sears with those horrible pictures. Mm-hmm. Some people would pay up to $500 for those. Now we have people charging $50 for the CD, just giving it away. And, it's the just need, I can't say it enough. People just need to value their time and understand, no matter what, you're never going to feel that you're good enough to charge anything. Mm-hmm. To this day, I'll look at my work sometimes and I go, oh, I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Everybody has that feeling.
But that attitude of I hate my work, hopefully it doesn't drive you into depression. But outside of that, that's probably what has driven you to have the quality. Looking at your work, it's excellent, by the way. Looking at your work, your attitude of I could do better than this is what's got you as far as what you've gotten. That's, if you looked at your work, somebody looks at the work and don't find any flaws in it, they're not going to continue to grow. So that I think I love that attitude. I'd also say that I'm sure Kathleen, and I'm sure you have competition wherever you are, and let's talk about just what I do here. But podcast, we're free. We're never going to charge for this. I'm not going to drive somebody like Creative Live out of business. They're not going to drive me out of doing this. So there's a place for both of us. You can be the person making money at this and find your niche, and strive and was it not strive, thrive at this. But Steve, before I lose this, Stephen Miller out in chat had a question for you, and I don't know if this is what the answer is to this, because this is something I struggle with an answering people, because I get asked this. Is okay. He's got a full-time job. He's doing weddings on the side and weekends, and that side of that wedding business is starting to grow and grow and becoming now where I'm reading a little bit into this, Stephen, where that is taking up a lot of his time, and he's struggling with when do I make the switch from I drop the full-time Monday through Friday job and just focus on the photography business and grow that. That's got to be a scary time too.
Yeah, especially in this in the way that the industry is right now. Personally, I wouldn't quit my day job. I guess it depends on how much you're making for the weddings versus your day job. But personally, I would keep my day job and just raise the prices of the weddings. That would be me. That's just how I feel, because, we've said it, this economy, it's crazy. There's a lot of people out of work. It's almost like you might want to hold on to what you have. It's just, I don't know. To me, if I had to make the jump now, quitting another job and getting into photography, there's no way I'd quit the other job, because it's just too scary what the future could possibly hold with this. When I quit my other job, I had so many clients. I was turning people away constantly, and there weren't, I was the newborn photographer for the Baltimore area. There weren't any other ones visible. Now there's like 10,000 of them. So I would never quit another job to go into it now. Now, I'm not in his situation. So, if he really feels that he can cover absolutely everything and feel stable and know that the future is going to be stable, by all means, go all wedding photography. I personally wouldn't. That's just me.
Yeah, some of the things you got to think about is, insurance, health insurance.
Yes.
Your company, hopefully where you're at, you have some avenue to get health insurance and other benefits. You got to replace all those things somehow.
Retirement.
Yeah, but your retirement, yes, that comes. You either retire or you die, and we all hope that we'll make it to retirement, and you better be putting some money away way before then. But a great point, maybe, Stephen. I would, I think Jody, you put your prices on your webpage. I think somebody like Scott Green does. I would compare your prices to what they are, where they're at, and where you are now. And like Jody said, is maybe you raise your price, you start working your way up to that. You'll lose a few clients, but that law of diminishing return. You know what I'm talking about? The bell curve. As you charge more money, you make more profit. At some point, your clients start to die off, and you start going back down the other side, where you're charging more, but you're making less because you have fewer clients. You want to be at the top of that curve. It's it's going to be hard to be exactly there, but if your prices, if you're at $500 or $1,000, you're probably too low, and you need to be working your way up. And your clients will drop off, but as your quality gets better and your name gets out, your clients will come back, and you can start working your way up into pricing. What do you think of that?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and I know.
Yeah, being having the accountant brain, I know that I'm more conservative with my decisions, and you probably know what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
Just be more conservative and not say, oh, I'm just going to jump off this cliff and live off of photography only now. It's hard right now.
Yeah, and like Jody said, though, we don't know your situation, so we don't know what your I don't know if you're married, or I thought saw somewhere you said fiance, but what the income situation is, what the savings situation is, what your fiance or your spouse's money situation is, whether they could support you through that. So those are all decisions you're going to have to eventually make yourself. But I am like Jody. I am an accountant by trade, and I like to have a steady paycheck every week, every
Yeah,
2 weeks.
I miss that. Honestly, I miss that so much.
I know every 2 weeks what my check's going to be. That's really nice.
Right. Exactly.
And with weddings, especially, I imagine there's times when it's going to be slower, and you gotta make sure there are certain times you're going to be really busy, certain times you're going to be slower. You got to make sure you have enough money during those slow times to make it back through, to pay for food and rent and utilities, like Jody was talking about earlier.
Or when your car decides to die, like mine has twice so far in the past 6 months.
Yeah, those unexpected expenses are going to come up. You're going to need a new lens. You're going to need a new camera. Some of those things are going to come up. We'll do video soon, and tell me what he thinks of the new one. I'm trying to read what they're saying on chat, and I don't know.
Okay.
All right. So let me look at my notes, and I guess Tim is not going to join us tonight. His soccer must be going a little long. If anybody's wondering where Tim is, he's at his son or daughter's, I can't remember which one it is, a soccer event, and so he's not going to be here. All right, Jody. So what is next for Jody? I know I don't want to go too much into accounting. We can talk about it offline. You can always ask me questions. If you want to chat with another accountant, feel free to always contact me. I won't bore everybody out there with that stuff. I love spreadsheets. I do that all the time. So I would love to talk to another spreadsheet person. But in photography, what is next for Jody?
Well, I just did this new book. It's the Lost Art of Getting Great Images in Camera.
Yes.
I just did that, and I'm re-releasing a Studio Lighting Naturally for newborns. Those are just some books that I offer because I don't have time to do a whole lot of workshops and stuff like I used to do years ago. But these are kind of workshops in a book. So anything and more that I would cover in a workshop or in these books. After that, I have kind of a whole marketing plan for this spring to summer. I'm going to move a little bit away from a lot of newborn images, do more high school seniors, see what I can do about the equestrian part of Maryland. Just something I've always wanted to tap into. I'm going to,
has that proven
try to do some new things.
Has that proven difficult?
I haven't really gone full force at it yet. I just know I love it. We've been having a ball. It's good timing. My daughter's horse is pregnant and going to be delivering in May. We're hoping to catch all that on film. So, like video, actually.
Yeah.
But there'll be a lot of interesting, horse images that we're doing here soon. And I just want to see how Maryland takes it. We have a lot of equestrian things around here. I don't know if they're going to take it well. Because it's going to be expensive, or if they're just not going to care. We'll see.
So, and I don't know a whole lot about that segment, But I would imagine, horses are not cheap.
No.
So yeah, I guess this can go one of two ways. Everybody's spending all their money on the horse and the related expenses and don't have a lot of spare money, or I have a horse because I have a lot of spare money, and
Right.
therefore that's what, as a photographer, I'd hope that it would be, is I have a horse because I have a lot of spare money, and therefore they might be very open to spending some money on good photos.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I want to work with some more off-camera flash with the horses, and that's always difficult because the horses do get scared of it. But it is a really unique look.
Hmm.
So let's see how it goes in the next few months. As soon as we can get rid of the snow, we've got a lot of plans for doing a lot outdoors. It needs to go away.
Yeah, and I have your book, the site, the place where your book is on the getting back to the drawing board, and I thought I saw an article somewhere. Here's when I click on it, with the book, The Lost Art of Getting it Right in Camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and again, those links will be in the show notes, so you can go and check them out. And you had talking about some of the. I had pulled some of these up earlier, but I don't think I streamed them. Some of your nature shots. Was it nature or was it?
Oh yeah, there
Yeah.
was a few nature ones I just threw in there. Some of them are on the website.
Yeah. Well, that's something I have not pulled up any of the images you sent me. Sorry, so I've been
Oh,
going
that's
off through your
fine.
website, and we don't have to go. I can just pull them up individually as we go. We don't have to talk about each one, but these were just gorgeous, and I would love to sometime talk to you about some of the editing, like this one here with the baby on what looks like a cork or
It's
a,
like a wooden mushroom.
yeah, wooden mushroom.
Yeah.
Is the scale right with the baby versus the wooden mushroom, or is that an
Yes.
illusion?
Yes. Yes. No, that is all correct. What happened was I actually did that at one of my workshops. The top of that comes off.
Okay.
So we photographed the baby on just the top, that the top was sitting on a beanbag. So I got that image, and then I got an image of just um, the mushroom, the wooden mushroom by itself,
Okay.
and kind of merged them together. Took the top half, put it on the bottom, and then of course smoothed the background a little bit, smoothed that floor into the background.
Yeah, in the back, the floor looks. This is where I was a little confused with the shot. I love the editing you've done in this shot because I didn't know if the floor was the same scale, or if you did something with scale on the floor because it
I don't
looks
know, the
huge.
floors. Yeah, no, it's just yeah, there was a little bit of editing on that one. The floor is just regular floorboards that I painted myself to
Okay.
match the background, but it's sort of an illusion of a more wide angle lens than what it was.
Okay.
And that was more so to fit the website than anything else. I had to stretch it a little bit.
Okay. Well, great job of editing too, and um, with that image. And this next one with the Blue Jay, I think this is something that now is your cover shot somewhere.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
shot that yesterday.
And I guess that's snow falling.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm down here in the Atlanta area, so we had our big snowstorm where it shut down the entire city of 2 inches of snow.
Yeah.
Um, so I know you guys got a little bit more than 2 inches, but the
Oh,
blue
yeah.
the blue jay, maybe that's a sign of spring's coming.
Oh, I hope so. We need this.
And you also take this one yesterday. You got koalas in your backyard.
No, that was when I taught in Australia a few years ago. I taught a group in Brisbane, Australia. It's the first time I had ever been there, and that was just shot at one of the little nature places that they
So
have.
so you shot a work. What did you say you did down in Australia again?
I taught a workshop, a newborn workshop. Actually, it was kind of newborn in studio lighting.
Was that people from Australia, or did everybody fly down there to have the newborn?
No, it was a woman in Australia asked me to come there and teach. She got a group together and flew my whole family in. So
That
that
is
was kind of fun.
awesome. That is.
Yeah, it was definitely it was a unique experience. I'd never been out of the United States.
Yeah, and
That
I
was
would.
new for me.
I'd never been there myself. I'd imagine would be, if you had some time to do something other than just a workshop, that would be just fantastic.
Yeah, we did. We rode horses and we did some four-wheeling. But the most interesting was when we did riding horses. There was a spider the size of my hand
I
hanging from a
do. I
tree,
do not like
and we were
spiders.
we had to ride the horses by it, and it really freaked me out. But then the tour people stopped us at this little creek and said, "Okay, go ahead and go swimming." And we're all looking at each other going, "I'm not getting in there. This is Australia. We know what happens in Australia. There's animals." And
Yeah.
we said, "No, we're not getting in." But finally my husband said, "You know what? We're never going to be here again. Just get in." So we all got in. So we were swimming with a turtle in a creek in Australia.
Wow. Yeah, no, I could see where you'd be a little scared getting in that creek, and especially after seeing that spiders,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not a fan of spiders.
I'm not either.
And something else we hadn't talked about, but you do, and this image shows it, is okay, we talked about newborns, but you also pregnancy photos.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you still doing a lot of those?
Yeah, it's funny. Most of the newborns that I photograph are because so many people want the maternity images that they come to me for it, and I don't usually book a maternity session without a newborn. Got to hook them in.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
One thing that the expansion of photography with more people get into it has done is created things I don't think existed back whenever. Probably not, definitely not to the degree it was now, but definitely not when my kids were born, and maybe when your senior was born, is the pregnancy photos. I don't think my
Yeah.
wife, especially my mom, back when I was born, would have never considered taking pregnancy photos, and the type of photos that would have been taken back then wouldn't have been nearly as good and creative as they are now. So that's
Right.
one thing that's happened is we've been able to expand the subject matter
Oh,
so much.
definitely.
Yeah. And then I love the fact that you're getting fathers involved in the photos too.
Oh, yeah. And that's all about the lighting. Oh my goodness. If you see some of the guys that used to come to my studio and say, "I'm not taking my shirt off."
Yeah.
And I'd say, "Well, it's about the lighting. Don't worry. It's about the lighting." And as soon as I would hit them with the very masculine lighting, all of a sudden they're going, "Wow, I didn't know I had biceps." So it's
So
kind of fun.
yeah, so I can see. I think a lot of us guys are not as eager to get in front of the camera as maybe some of the ladies. Uh, but when he sees this, he had to be happy with it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Even my own husband, I have a Facebook shot on my personal Facebook that I made him take his shirt off, and he's like, "Nope, not going to do it, not going to do it." I said, "Don't worry, it's about the light. It's about the light." And I love the image, so it's pretty funny.
No, no, I love that image too. And then the last one was one of the landscape shots you have of the two birds,
Yeah, the
two
pelicans
pelicans.
and
Yeah.
Hatteras.
I'm sorry.
The pelicans in Cape Hatteras.
Okay, okay. I,
Actually, those I think were in Ocracoke Island.
okay. I grew up in Louisiana, so we had lots of pelicans back down there, but I don't remember the skies being quite that good.
Oh yeah, it was the
That's beautiful.
clouds were all kind of coming in pretty interesting, and I think I enhanced it just a little bit, brought a little bit of contrast in, you
Well,
know.
in looking at the one with the baby on the wooden mushroom, that's part of it is the editing of the images. It's not just you get as good as you can in camera, but you're going to have to do some editing, especially if I imagine you shoot in RAW.
Not in studio, believe it or
Okay.
not. I shoot JPEG in studio and RAW for everything else now. Sometimes, I just shot something the other day in studio and I used all RAW. It really depends.
Yeah, and I'd almost advise if you're new, you may be thinking I'll get to RAW later. The newer you are, the more important it is probably for you to shoot RAW.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, Stephen had another question out there in chat, and we're getting close to the end here. I need to wrap this up, but Stephen had a question. I'll try and read it as close as what he did, but I may paraphrase a little bit, Stephen. Do you price your senior shoots as a whole package out the door? Limited options for less or limit options for less confusion, or a la carte? So maybe just how do you price your senior shoot?
Right now, I have a senior special going on because I need to build up the senior portfolio a little bit more. So I price the seniors. They can either do a traditional shoot which is pay the session fee, and then they do a la carte after that, or they can do, I think I have it right now as 10 digital images for a set amount, but that has to be prepaid.
Okay.
So, and that, I mean, you can see it on my website. I don't know the exact, what I have exactly there at the moment, but the pricing is actually on the website, and you can see it. And yes, it is, that is a special right now. It will go up as, you know, I start building the portfolio a little bit more and getting the marketing going.
Yeah, so Stephen, and anybody listening later on, you know, you can go to Jodie's site. She has it listed right there. I think it's a PDF, and you go to her section called rates, and she gives you all the prices right there, so you can look at that and get ideas on what she's charging. Now, you know, you got to take into account the area she's in. You know, your pricing may be a little bit different based on your area, but it gives you a ballpark, something to be thinking about, a starting point at least.
Right.
Yeah. Well, Jodie, I'm so glad you're able to come out here, and I know you know, we did this kind of at the last minute, and you got everything set up great. This went good, and the hour goes by so fast. There's more questions I definitely would want to ask, but I don't want to abuse you. We'll just have to have you come back on later at some point. So
that's fine. I'll do it.
Awesome. I thank you for coming. Hopefully, it was easier than you thought. I know you were saying something about earlier. You were worried about you know, getting in front of the camera. You did great. You did fine getting in front of the camera.
Oh, it's a lot better than it was on TV. When I was on TV one time, oh, I wouldn't even look at the rerun of that one. It was one of the books that I was published in. Yeah, one of the local news stations wanted me on there, and I won't even look at it. I don't even know if I still have that CD somewhere. It's just, I kind of froze. It was scary.
Yeah, you know, it happens. You know, when I first started doing the show, I hated to do any of the editing of the audio. Yeah, editing of the audio, because I didn't want to hear my own voice back. And I said, "Oh my God, I can't believe that's how it sounds." So for a while, I didn't even want to edit the audio and listen through it. But you know, you get used to it after a while. But we thank you for coming, and now now I need to do the closing remarks. You know, Jodie is out in our Facebook group, and she, you know, obviously she's a busy person and working hard, so she's not commenting all the times, but she's out there, and we would love to have you out in our Facebook group. If you're not a member, just go to Facebook and search for jpeg2RAW. We do have a couple other groups, so look for our big group, and you'll know by the number of members. And join there. That's where a lot of us chat about the show, and we chat about different things. You know, Jodie recently was out there chatting on one of or commenting on one of the photos somebody posted. So we'd love to have you. If Facebook's not your thing, we also have a Google Plus community. It's nowhere near as big or as active as our Facebook group, but it is growing. You know, we hadn't done anything with it for a long time. We've had it for ever since they had communities on Google Plus, but we've just recently been trying to bolster that a little bit and get a little more activity going in there. Also, this month our Facebook challenge, photo challenge, the theme is the simple life, and we're going to do things a little bit different for this time. The voting for our last month in February was based upon a number of likes. So you go and you like the image, and the top 3 images with the top 3 likes are in the finals, and then the admins pick the winner. We're going to change that up a little bit this time. We think it'll be more fair for everybody, and the admins and the previous month's winner are going to pick the 3 finalists, and then the admins will pick a winner based upon some criteria or categories, whatever it is. So we think that'll be more fair. If you know, we may change that over time, but we want everybody to feel that they're entering and they have a fair shot of winning. It's fun, even if you don't win. You know, it's not like you're going to get rich off of these things. All we do is give a $25 Amazon gift card, and you get your photo your image is put on the header of Facebook, the Facebook group. So that's what it is. But the challenge is getting out there and shooting something that maybe you weren't going to shoot before. So that's good. Also, you know, this show will hopefully be out this weekend, but the place that comes out first, you know, instead iTunes and all those other places will be there. Eventually, the place that comes out first is on YouTube. The one we're doing right now will be out there, the unedited version, but the edited version will be on YouTube within a few days. So if you're not a subscriber of our YouTube channel, you know, go to YouTube and search for jpeg2RAW. You can go to our page and link it from there too if you want to. And you can see this show if you came in late or you missed the whole thing or whatever else. You can go out there and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're up to well over 2,000 subscribers. It's been growing pretty good recently. Go out there and subscribe to the channel. You won't be bombarded by spam emails, but it's a good way to get the show earlier than any other place. If you don't want YouTube, we also are on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, on Spreaker. Both of those are audio only. And even on TiVo. I get it on my TiVo. If anybody out there still has a TiVo, you can get this on TiVo if you wanted to, too. So that's it. Next week, we're taking a week off. The little guy right here is having a track meet. He's in track, and I'm going to go to his track meet. So we're going to be off next week. The week after that, I should have had the calendar pulled up. I'm not going to have the calendar pulled up. The week after that, go to our calendar, go to our go to our website, jpeg2RAW.com, and there's a calendar. And you can see who all is coming up. I think the rest of March is booked. Almost all of April and almost all of May is booked. So go out there to that calendar, and you'll see who's coming up. So until 2 weeks, keep it raw. Good night, everybody.